The United States Senate has formally called on Donald Trump to step down from the presidency. And Trump, he didn't hold back. He didn't remain calm. He didn't take questions. He simply walked out, just left the room. What happened in the minutes before and the hours that followed is the kind of event people will discuss for years, maybe decades.
Now I'm Kristen Welker in Washington, where the administration's top intelligence chiefs faced questions about the war with Iran and their assessment about Iran's nuclear capabilities, which the president has used as a justification for launching the military strikes. All while the war shows no signs of de-escalating, and as the status of the Strait of Hormuz, that critical waterway for global shipping, remains in limbo. Today, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, CIA Director John Radcliffe, and other top intelligence officials were on Capitol Hill for a worldwide threats hearing, and the Iran war was the top issue. In her prepared opening statement, Director Gabbard wrote, quote, "As a result of Operation Midnight Hammer last summer, Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated. There has been no efforts since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability." But notably, Director Gabbard did not read that portion of her statement during her remarks. Some Democratic senators noting that omission and pressed Director Gabbard on whether Iran posed an imminent threat, as the president claimed.
Let me break this down for you from the start, because this story didn't appear overnight. It's been building for weeks. The tension inside Washington has been suffocating. The Senate has been locked in one of the most bitter standoffs in memory, a nearly 40-day fight over funding the Department of Homeland Security. TSA agents have gone unpaid. Airport lines are spilling out the doors. And the White House, mostly inactive. But that was only the surface. Beneath it all, something far bigger was brewing. There's a leaked memo. Sources who've seen it say it alleges that Trump personally interfered in military operations. Not by mistake, not due to bad advice, but allegedly for political gain. Let that sink in. According to the memo, Trump delayed time-sensitive defense authorizations and operations because commanders hadn't publicly supported his agenda. These weren't drills. These were active missions involving intelligence gathering and troop protection in hostile areas. When this memo reached Capitol Hill, the reaction was not what Trump expected. This time, it wasn't just Democrats who were upset. Republicans, his own allies, began speaking out. And then today happened. This morning, senators gathered on the floor of the United States Senate, bipartisan senators, meaning both Republicans and Democrats, standing together, reading a formal written demand for Donald Trump to resign. This is serious, historically serious. Michael McCall, a Republican and military veteran, spoke with a trembling voice, not from fear, but from conviction. Paraphrasing, he said that as someone who had supported Trump, he could not stay silent when evidence suggested the commander-in-chief prioritized politics over the safety of U.S. troops. Think about that. A Republican, one of Trump's own allies, standing on the Senate floor, saying that on the record. This isn't a tweet or an anonymous leak. It's a sitting senator calling for the president to step down. That is rare. Trump's team knew this was coming. Aides scrambled, calls were made. The White House was in full damage control mode all morning. Reporters outside described the scene as tense. Unusually tense, even by the administration standards. When Trump arrived for a routine briefing, the senators wanted him to respond, to face the chamber, to answer questions. What did he do? He stood up, looked around, and walked out. No statement, no prepared remarks. No spokesperson. Gone. Why does that matter? Because a president walking out of the Senate isn't just anger. It's a signal. It usually means one of two things. They're furious with no answer or scared with no answer. Right now, no one knows which. Here's the key difference this time. Calls for Trump to resign have happened before. From Democrats, activists, editorial boards. Every time, it was dismissed as partisan. Trump's base rallied. Republicans held firm. It faded in a news cycle. But now it's different. Multiple Republicans, not just one, signed a formal resignation demand. The partisan defense collapses. When your own party leads the call, it isn't partisan politics anymore. Think of Nixon in 1974. The Watergate break-in wasn't what ended him. It was the moment Republican senators told him privately he'd lost their support. Nixon resigned days later. Trump isn't Nixon, but the pattern is familiar. When your own party peels away, the momentum shifts. So what's in the memo? Sources say Trump called his chief of staff with specific instructions, which reached the Pentagon. 3 military operations were delayed, not canceled. In active threat zones, a delay is critical. It can mean lives. Experts say such interference, if confirmed, violates the principle of civilian-military relations. The military chain of command exists to protect national security, not political loyalty. Using operations as leverage is controversial, potentially criminal. That's why Republicans broke ranks. There's a line, and the memo suggests it was crossed. Trump's team is pushing back, calling the memo fabricated, labeling the senators as traitors to the party. Sound familiar? Attack the messenger, not the message. But the senators expected this. They risked their careers anyway. That speaks volumes. Silence would have been complicity. That's exactly what McCall said. Where does this go? As of March 31st, 2026, no impeachment vote is scheduled. The resignation demand is just that, a demand. Legally, Trump can ignore it. But the political consequences are already spreading. Republican donors are asking questions. Swing district candidates face a nightmare. Stand with Trump and risk backlash, or distance themselves and lose his base. Timing is critical. Spring recess, senators heading home, constituents asking the same question. Is the president putting U.S. troops at risk for political gain? Trump has survived scandals before, impeachments, indictments, controversies. But this is different. The coalition is fracturing. DHS funding is unresolved. TSA workers remain unpaid. Airport lines are a mess. And the question of political interference in military operations now dominates Washington. If the memo is authenticated, pressure on Republican senators will be immense. At that point, it's no longer political. It's constitutional. The Constitution is clear. Abuse of presidential power threatening national security has consequences. We don't know yet if the memo is real. Verification matters. But we do know this. Multiple Republican senators signed the resignation demand, and Trump walked out instead of answering questions. Actions like that often speak louder than words. Trump has survived before, defying predictions of his political end. But the bipartisan nature of this makes it different. It's not Republicans versus Democrats.